I knew it was John because I could see the way he looked. He was getting very thin, you know, the dark circles around the eyes, very agitated at me. And he's normally a really loving young man. He always has been. And he was very angry at me. It just wasn't him. His personality changed. It was hard because I would see signs of, you know, not doing so well in school. He was really athletic. A lot of that was just kind of going by the wayside.
That place showed up about the time my son just was experiencing so much defeat in every aspect of his life. And I didn't have any solutions for him. It became evident that I couldn't help him.
He was struggling. He wasn't enjoying his life. He wasn't living his life. He was suffering. It was years of going to all kinds of doctors and counselors and teachers and church small group leaders and trying to get everyone to help and not getting the help we needed. No one saw what I was seeing.
We realized there was something amiss, and we couldn't put it all together, or at least I couldn't put it all together. And we had kind of run out of our arrows and trying to figure out how to solve the problem.
It's kind of like you're out of options. You know, there really isn't anything else to do. This is it, and that's what you tell your son. You're either going to do this, or you're on the road, you're on the street, you're on your own. This behavior is not acceptable in the family anymore.
It was hard. I had, you know, to talk to my ex-husband about it, and he didn't see it as much as I saw it until it got really bad. And when that got really bad is when I started searching where to send John, because I knew he had to go to some kind of a treatment center.
I spent a lot of time on the internet just reading through sites and calling those treatment centers and asking for referrals based on the criterion my son fell under, and I kept coming up with zero.
I got a phone call from a friend whose son, who John was friends with, who had already sent her son to Capstone. And so the more we got to talking, the more I thought, wow, this just sounds really great. Christian, and I knew that her son was doing well, so I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a try.
Until she put together a list of things that were abnormal behavior. And when we went to the Capstone website and kind of compared and contrast all the things that we were seeing in our son's life versus what Capstone considered to be, I don't want to say abnormal behavior, but addictive behavior, I realized that we had to do something.
You can actually get on the website and read the warning signs, and we've had, honestly, hundreds of parents that have said, I knew when I read the warning sign section, or I knew when I read the assessment that my son really had a problem. We have a clientele who will rarely have a lack of effort or an ill intention in their parenting. Our parents love their kids. They have really good families. They have great intention in their parenting. They have great intention in their effort. But something's happened along the way that most of the time parents didn't know what was happening. And there's been kind of a virus, if you will, that has snuck into their home and started to steal their child down a road that they didn't want him to go down. And if you let addiction continue, it's going to kill them sooner or later. So one of the things is the urgency about this is that we're going to be urgent about how we work with you and your son and your family so that we have the best odds that are possible.
So I don't think the decision was tough, but when the decision was made, we needed to get there. And I think that's one of the things too that I really appreciate about Capstone. I mean, we made the decision and we were on a plane, I think 5 days later or 6 days later.
You know, there's all kinds of secular facilities to take your son to, but this was the one that had God at its center. And that was the compelling reason why we selected Capstone. And as it's turned out, it's the best thing for us.
I went on the website and I found what I needed. I found what I needed there. They had an assessment, they had an explanation of their program.
We are a Christ-centered program. We have had families from every Christian religion that I've ever heard of come to Capstone. No one's ever disagreed with our beliefs and what we do here, because our approach is Christ-centered, and it's about the basic biblical truths that people with different doctrines have all believed in. Our view of Christ in his ministry, as you read the Gospels, is that he went to people and accepted them where they were, loved them where they were, and met the needs of where they were. We do that with our boys.
I wanted him to be around godly men and women, and that actually walked the walk. And I wanted him to feel that and to see that and to embrace it. And I also knew that God would be working. He was working in all the therapists' hearts. I had a very sense of peace about it.
There was something, I felt like God was leading us there. I felt so many things happened at the last minute that just made it feel like the right thing. And as crazy as it sounds, to go from California to Arkansas, it didn't feel crazy. It didn't feel like a strange thing to do. It felt like we were going where we were supposed to go.
It just felt like the right place to be. And it was a long way away. But in many respects, that was a benefit, because there was no place our son then could run to get away from it. He had to address his problems, and it allowed him to face the stuff that he'd been doing over the last several years.
I'd never thought I could stay sober in California, and I was so fear-driven. I just wanted to get out of California, and there's a big part of me that was like, the grass is greener on the other side, so if I go over there, I'll get sober. You know, and it was really good for me to be physically separated from, you know, the drugs and alcohol, my friends, my community.
Dropping him off, it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. I just felt comfortable. I felt it was a very warm atmosphere. I think after meeting his therapist, she made me feel at ease. I could just feel the love in her.
When I first got to Capstone, I felt anxious, scared, the sense of relief.
And it was good for me to go over there where nobody knew me, you know, nobody knew my situation, and I could just be myself. I didn't have to lie, I didn't have to cheat, I didn't have to steal. I could just be myself and have a new fresh start, and I could learn, you know, how to be sober.
There is a staff of godly people that really brought him along and righted the ship, helped us to avoid that wasteland that he was headed for.
You know, at the end of the day, we wanted our son to go to college, graduate, and have a happy and successful life. We were never going to have to spend that money for college if we didn't get if he didn't get help. And yet we wanted him to go to college and spend that money. But the only way we were going to do that is if he was in the right mind, and that was something that we couldn't do on our own, much to our, I think, frustration. And we were helpless. And so, to me, it's a partial year of college, or you know, or it's a year of maybe a year of college. But it's the best money that I've ever spent. And I have no regrets about it, because we have our son back, and you know, that's really priceless.
I can guarantee them that they will have the most professionally excellent treatment, therapy, programming that they would have anywhere. That we will dig to find the core issues that are beneath the surface. And that we have a follow-up plan and our 2-year Finish Strong game plan and our aftercare that's going to stick with them as long as it takes. And if they're willing to work with us and stick with the program, that success is going to come to them sooner or later.
And you know, I think the biggest part for someone like me is they don't judge you, because you know, you come in with all this shame and all this guilt and all this hurt, and you don't want to be around someone saying, you know, you're bad because you did this, you're this because you did that. They just give you an equal playing field.
I first sensed that it was all going to be fine when got to Capstone and saw there was other people like me, the same issues as me. And, you know, I really felt I wasn't alone and there was a solution.
So talking to the mom and dad who's out there that's looking at their son's in trouble and they need help and they're trying to figure out what do we need. Basically, Capstone's core model is about going to the core, what lies beneath. You see a boy that is acting out with pornography, girls, drugs, alcohol, misbehavior, defiance, entitlement, etc. You're asking yourself a question as a parent, what's going on here? So we ask the question, what makes this make sense? What lies beneath? Let's find out what's going on underneath.
I was right about Capstone. I was right about Capstone that these were people that meant what they said and loved bigger than anybody I'd ever met.
I saw not the old Adam, not my old son, but a new version of my son, a good version of my son. And I'm not from Arkansas, and I had never met men and women who love like the men and women at Capstone love. I had never seen that in my entire life.
My mom, my dad, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd be alive today. The help that they have gotten me and the chances that they've given me to be physically separated from what I was doing, to rescue me from, you know, the place that I was in, I don't think I'd be alive today if it wasn't for them. You know, I'm back in school and I'm getting good grades. I never thought that was never a possibility for me. I'm coaching volleyball, and I never thought I could hold the responsibility of coaching a team.
But I do believe that God loves our sons and He wants the best for them. And if we're going to give our sons to Him and they're going to be learning and recovering in a Christian atmosphere, that there is a lot of hope there. He has hope of, you know, finishing up school. He has dreams now, and he's got the confidence. And to me, the most important thing is that he's very, very close to the Lord.
Today, my recovery means to me everything. To me, it's my way of life. You know, I treat this as a life or death matter. You know, I basically live my life around staying sober because that's my #1 priority.
He's the young man I had always hoped and wished that he would be. And I'm just really excited to see where he's going to go with all of this.